Okay, so let's dive in. Today we're looking at a source that gives us a window into a really specific moment, almost like a snapshot from another project's life, hitting an early milestone.
Yeah, the material we've got is, it's from excerpts called Celebrating 100 Subscribers. So right there in the title.
Right. And our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is basically to unpack what hitting this number, 100 subscribers, actually meant to the creators in the source. How they talk about getting there, and maybe what insights we can glean about, building a community, connecting with people right at the start.
It's a fascinating look at that sort of unexpected early buzz and, importantly, how they saw it at the time.
Okay, so let's start right there, the main event they're talking about, hitting 100 subscribers.
Well, the first thing that jumps out, I think, is the speed. They mentioned hitting this 100 mark in, get this, just 1 week.
1 week, that's wow. And reading it, you definitely get this sense of, genuine shock from them.
Oh, yeah.
They admit their own expectations were, much lower. One of them says something like they thought they might be stuck on 12 for 3 months.
Right. And the other one apparently thought hitting, I think it was 30 by the end of the month, that would be a win.
So yeah, going from expecting maybe 12, hoping for 30, to hitting 100 in just 7 days. That clearly blew their initial ideas way out of the water.
Totally. It must have been quite a feeling expecting that slow burn and then whoosh.
Makes you think about that unpredictability, doesn't it? But what's really interesting, I found, is where they immediately go next in the source.
Exactly. They don't really linger on, wow, look what we did. It's almost instantly about the audience.
Yeah, they say something like, you lot pulled up strong, which I take to mean, the audience really showed up.
Yeah, they specifically list things like people listening, watching, supporting, sharing episodes, dropping comments, just showing love, basically.
Yeah.
Active stuff.
And they make this distinction, which I thought was key. They say, you didn't just watch, you joined the community. That's a different framing.
It really is. It shifted from passive consumption to active participation. They reflect on it being actually crazy. 100 real people thought, yeah, vibe with these guys.
And vibing seems to just mean connecting with their style, their energy.
And calling them 100 real people, the foundation, even the OGs, it gives you a sense of how personally they took this early support.
It's like they see these first 100 not just as numbers, but as the actual bedrock for whatever they build next. Sets a certain tone, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It establishes this relationship from day one, almost, where the audience feels like they're genuinely part of it.
And they seem to connect that strong early response back to how they actually started out and the, let's say, style they adopted.
Right. They're quite open about it. They say they weren't some massive brand launching.
No.
They say they started this with dodgy mics, random tangents, and way too many bro, did you see this moments. There's a certain vulnerability there. Admitting it wasn't slick.
Yeah, that self-awareness seems really important to the whole thing. The style they aimed for was keeping it natural, like real convos, no filters.
They even joke, no scripts either. Well, mostly, which kind of reinforces that spontaneous feel. They describe their interactions as, arguing, laughing, going deep sometimes, just like actual friends talking.
And crucially, according to the source, that's exactly what seemed to land with people. They mentioned specific feedback they got.
Yeah, like someone calling them low-key underrated geniuses, which, sounds like it made them chuckle, but also felt good.
Sure. But the one that really seemed to resonate with them was hearing, y'all talk the way my friends talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
They explicitly say that comment captures exactly the vibe we're going for.
Right.
So finding people who connected with that authentic, maybe slightly messy interaction style, they call that connection powerful. It kind of validated their whole approach, didn't it?
It really seems like it did. So, okay, they've got this unexpected early win. They feel this connection. They know what's working. What does the source say about what's next from that 100 subscriber point?
Well, they give a little peek into the pipeline, as they call it. They list more episodes, new topics, and they even mention a few spicy debates coming your way.
Ooh, spicy debates. Okay. And they also tease some guest appearances, right? Adding that it's about to get even more chaotic.
Yeah. It sounds like they plan to lean into that natural, maybe slightly unpredictable energy that got them there in the first place.
Which totally makes sense, given how much they credit the audience for the start. They seem really focused on keeping that connection going.
Absolutely. That comes through loud and clear. Throughout this celebration piece, they keep circling back to the listener, like explicitly saying they want to keep hearing from you guys. And the things they ask for aren't just, subscribe. It's more like, Drop us episode ideas or tell us what you love, what made you laugh.
What made you go, nah, that's cap? Which, for anyone wondering, basically means that's not true or I disagree.
Right. It's an invitation for real feedback, good or bad. They really stress we're listening.
And that leads into what I thought was a really powerful statement they make about ownership. They actually say, this isn't just our podcast, it's yours too now.
That's a big statement, isn't it?
Right.
It really tries to position the audience as like co-creators or co-owners of the whole thing, not just consumers.
Yeah, elevates them completely. And looking back at the 100 number itself, they frame it as more than just, well, a number.
Definitely. They put it in perspective, reflecting. From 3 guys in a room to 100 people across the world, that's insane. And then quickly add, and we're only just getting started.
You feel the momentum there, and the gratitude is just, it's right there on the page. A big, explicit thank you is kind of central to the whole message.
They really hammer home that the audience is essential, saying things like, you're the reason this podcast is real. You're part of this story.
Makes the listener feel integral, doesn't it?
Completely. And they even project forward, imagining looking back at this specific moment. They say, one day we'll look back at this and say, yeah, 100 was where it really started.
Wow. So, okay, if we pull all these threads together from the source, what's the big picture here?
Well, I think this source really highlights how sometimes that rapid early growth, that strong initial community feeling, it doesn't always come from having everything perfectly polished or having a huge brand behind you.
Right. It can actually stem from maybe the opposite, like authentic connection, being willing to be a bit vulnerable about the messy start, the dodgy mics and all that.
Exactly. And crucially, actively making the audience feel like they're participants, like they're the real foundation, not just people watching from the sidelines.
It suggests that maybe just being real, admitting where you came from, and sharing that journey openly, that can be incredibly powerful for building that first vital connection.
Yeah, sometimes that unpolished authenticity is exactly what people are looking for.
Which does leave us with a pretty interesting question to chew on based just on the source. What does it actually mean for a project long-term when its foundation, its OGs, are so deeply connected to its earliest, maybe its most raw and unpolished version? How does that very specific initial relationship shape everything that comes after as it grows and inevitably changes?